Friends, I welcome you to my channel. Before listening to this story, I will ask you to like and subscribe. It is not difficult for you, but it is pleasant for me. And we're starting. Jack. Yes, she thought she was being sly. What she didn't know was that I had heard about all this from someone she worked with who was disgusted by what was happening. I made my plans and prepared. Fortunately, I had time to deal with the rage and prepare for what was about to happen. It all starts tonight, right after dinner. Kayla. Tonight then? My friend Mary asked. Yes, I'm finally going to do it. I'll wait after dinner, bring him a beer, and then I'll tell him what's going to happen, I replied. Just remember to be strong. He won't like it, but you have to stay strong. I remember, as we agreed. He has no choice. That's how it's going to be, and if he really loves me, he's going to let me do it for my happiness. That's right. Just be prepared for him to scream and scream. He will try to fight it, but eventually he will come to his senses and accept the new reality. It's important that you stay calm but firm. Let him have a tantrum, and then he'll realize that you're in charge here. That's right. Besides, as far as he knows, it will only be temporary. Once he accepts it, he will start to like it. Then everything will just go on. Are you sure about all this? Jack can be very stubborn. Listen, Kayla. Jack loves you more than anything in the world. Of course, he will get angry. But when he calms down, he will realize that he loves you so much that he will do everything to make you happy. Even that. Okay, I think you're an expert. Trust me, it took me 2 marriages to mess up to figure it all out, but I perfected the method on my 3rd marriage. You know my current husband. He's completely under my control now. He even stands next to the bed when I use one of my bowls. I also sometimes make him clean me after I'm done. In a month or 2, Jack will also join the queue. Then you can be sure of the safety of your marriage with Jack, as well as the pleasure of several other men. I finished the day and went home to cook Jack his favorite dinner. When Jack returned home, he greeted me with the words, "I love you," and kissed you on the cheek as usual. Despite my best efforts, I was still nervous. It will be a big step and a change in our marriage. But it was all worth it. Mary has been telling me about her female marriage, for quite some time. I've personally seen how it works for her and her husband. He was really pleased with the way their marriage had turned out. I'm sure Jack will like it too. The conversation at dinner was pleasant. We told each other about the day and discussed some of the news of the day. It was an ordinary dinner for us. After dinner, I insisted that he take a beer and go relax while I cleaned up. He resisted a little, wanting to help, but I told him it wasn't much and I could handle it. The leftovers were removed, the dishes were put in the dishwasher, and it was time. I poured myself a glass of wine, mentally prepared myself, and went into the living room for a confrontation. Jack, dear, we need to talk, I began. Of course, honey. About what? Okay, Jack. I understand that it may be difficult for you to accept this right now, but this is what I really need to do. Please keep in mind that this is only temporary. Okay, so what do you need? If it's so important to you, of course, I'll do everything I can to make you happy. He's taken it pretty well so far. He didn't even bother. Good. So, we discussed having children, and I'm almost ready for that. But there are a couple more things that I feel I need to do first. It should be a couple of months at the most, and then we can start working on creating several children. That's great, baby. So, what are these things that you need to do? Here it is. I took a deep breath and got ready for the fireworks. Well, Jack, I need to sow the last seeds of wild oats. It will only be temporary. Then I will be able to settle down completely and become the best wife and mother for our children that you can only dream of. All right, my love. It sounds reasonable so far, but how are you going to sow this wild oats? Wow, he took it really well. I expected him to freak out. I'm going to be seeing other men for a while. We'll still make love on a regular basis, but I'll also make love to some other guys to get everything out of my head. You're the only one who gets my love. In a couple of months, I'll come back to you and become your faithful wife again, and then we can start working on having the children we planned. Well, Kayla, it looks like you're not asking my permission to do this, so I assume you've already made up your mind. If that's the case, then I'd just like to put it on record that I'm not in favor of it. If you ask for my permission or consent, I will not give it. However, you're a grown woman with your own mind, so I won't stop you if that's what you really think you need to do. Everything was going better than I could have imagined. He didn't even raise his voice. Everything was said in a very conversational manner. Mary must be right. Jack will take on a new role, which I will prepare him for. So, Kayla, how exactly is this going to work? Are you going to move or are you waiting for me to move? Are you going to bring them here to make love? Will you go to them or to the hotel? Oh, well, I've decided that we'll both continue to live here. After all, we are married anyway, and as I said, we will continue to make love. I'm going to make love to you. I would have assumed that I would go to them sometimes, but I would probably bring them here sometimes. In such cases, you will have to sleep in the spare bedroom during these nights. I really don't see the need to pay for a hotel room since we could just come here. Okay. Once again, let me repeat that I am not in favor of this. However, I must insist that we will not make love while this is going on. I'm sorry, but it's for my own health. Since I have no idea who these people are or what their background is, I won't risk catching any sexually transmitted diseases that they might pass on to you. Besides, once you're done and decide to come back to me, we'll have to wait until you've been tested and cleared of anything. Go have fun and don't worry about me. Well, Jack, I can't say that I'm not disappointed in this. After all, I love you and always enjoy our love, but I understand your concern. I guess I'll have to live with it. Great, honey. So when do you plan to start your little affairs? Well, Mary and I decided to go to the club and meet a couple of guys from work tomorrow night. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but I can bring one of them back for the night. Since you're not going to make love to me while I'm doing this anyway, maybe it would be better if you just moved into a spare room for the next couple of months. Okay, Kayla, don't worry about it. I'll make sure to move in by the time you get home tomorrow night, Jack said before returning to reading the newspaper. I just couldn't believe how mature he was in all this. My heart soared. Of course, he complained weakly and refused to make love to me, but he completely accepted everything. He wasn't even angry at all. Mary was definitely right. In 2 months, Jack will be under my thumb. Besides, I knew that this absence of a bed was only temporary. He'll be in my bed again in a week or two. The next day. Hi, Mary. It's Kayla. Hi, girl. So how did it go last night? Oh my God. You won't believe how mature Jack was in everything. I expected a nuclear explosion from him, but he didn't even raise his voice. He was just so calm and accepting of it all. Wow, that's great. I told you he'd obey. Do you think you can convince him to watch tonight? I doubt it. In fact, I don't think I'll even suggest it. He said he would refuse to make love to me while I was making love to someone else. I'm sure it won't last long. After a week or two of using his hand, knowing that there is a beautiful woman next to him, and he will return immediately. It can be a lot of fun. Since he refused to touch me, I just went ahead and forced him to move to an empty room. He's packing his things now. He promised that he would completely move out of the landlady's bedroom before I returned home tonight. Ha ha ha. I love that you changed the name from the master bedroom to the master bedroom. I'll have to start doing it myself. Oh, definitely. Anyway, I should probably get ready. I'll meet you at the club. Okay, bye-bye. Later that evening, Jack is pretty good at putting all the stuff from my bedroom in boxes. I wasn't sure why he really needed to pack when he could just carry armfuls of stuff down the hall, but he explained that it would be better that way. It would be less of a walker and he could go through everything and leave things he doesn't really need in boxes to get rid of. It probably made some sense, but I was too busy making preparations to pay attention to it. He didn't say anything when I put on the little red cocktail dress I got for our 5th anniversary last year. It was actually the only time I ever wore it, but I looked damn good in it. Okay, Jack, I'm leaving. I'll probably be back around 1 in the morning, so you don't have to wait for me. Besides, I probably won't be alone, I told him, picking up my clutch and preparing to walk out the door. Don't worry, honey. I'll be moving out by then. He promised, closing the last box. Something was bothering me when I left the house. I couldn't figure out what it could be, but it bothered me a little. I decided it wasn't important, so I put it out of my mind and started thinking about the fun and excitement I would have tonight. I met Mary, Larry, and Josh at the club. Larry and Josh were the account managers. Both were very good-looking and, according to Mary and a couple of other girls in the office, very well hung up. So Jack really moved into the spare bedroom? Mary asked when our first order arrived. Yes. He had just finished packing when I left. He promised that by the time I got back, he would have moved out completely. I replied. Did he just say that? Josh asked. Yes. When I told him what time I should be home, he said, quote, I'll be gone by then. All 4 of us laughed. Damn it. I was hoping we'd just get this little cook to move over so we could do it on the bed right next to him. Larry laughed. Maybe after I've worked on it for a week or two. I giggled. But first of all, Why haven't any of you asked me to dance yet? We danced and drank for several hours. I danced with both guys a few times. We were snuggled up to each other during the slow songs, and I could feel their erections pressing down on me. Of course, their hands were on my ass most of the night. Mary and I went to the ladies' room to discuss the end of the night. 3 rounds of rock, paper, scissors forced me to take Josh home and Mary to Larry. The house was dark when I led Josh through the front door. Jack must be in bed by now. It's all right. Anyway, we didn't need him to watch. I led Josh down the hall to my room. Of course, all of Jack's belongings were gone. Maybe I should reward him by offering him a hand job. Then there will be something to think about. I had other things to attend to right now. It didn't take us long to undress, but Josh wanted me to keep the garter belt and stockings. I lost my thong a couple of hours ago. I'm still not sure which one is Larry or Josh. It didn't matter. I was making enough money so I could always buy others. The next 2 hours were pure bliss. The only minor disappointment of the night was that Josh refused to eat me. That was what Jack always did for me. We ended up doing it again in the shower before going to bed at night and again when we woke up the next morning. After that, Josh had to leave and go back to his wife and children, so I put on a bathrobe and went for coffee. I was a little disappointed that Jack hadn't made coffee yet. After all, it was already past 9. He's usually been up for an hour. I'll talk to him about it later. I mean, would it kill him if he made me coffee and breakfast after I stayed up late? So much for the handiwork I was going to offer him as a reward for moving into the spare bedroom while I was gone. After having breakfast with a bagel, I went to the shower and got dressed. Hot water was just what I needed to soothe my sore muscles. I didn't have anything to do today, so I decided to wear old shorts and a t-shirt. Since I was only going to be around Jack, I put on a functional bra and an old pair of regular panties. I had just finished pulling my hair into a ponytail when the phone rang. "Hi, girlfriend." I saw that it was Mary. "Hi, pretty thing. So how was Josh last night?" "He was amazing. Everything was exactly as I expected." "Yes, Larry won't do it either. You'll find that most real men don't do that. That's why I have a husband." "Wow, Jack always gets down on me. He's good at it too." Speaking of Jack, what was his reaction this morning? "I don't know. I'm a little angry because he seems to be asleep. I was disappointed that he didn't make me breakfast with coffee this morning. I was thinking of offering him a part-time job for being moved to a spare room. But now I don't think so. Yes. Make sure he knows how disappointed you are and what you expect from this moment. Keep being aggressive with him, but make sure you give him small rewards when he does something good. This will give him an incentive to try even harder. Actually, I'm starting to get angry that he's still not up. Wait a minute while I get his lazy ass out of bed." I walked down the hall to the spare bedroom and pounded on the door, shouting his name. There was no response. I tried again. There was still no answer. Finally, I turned the handle and opened the door. "Oh, damn it," I exclaimed. "What happened?" Mary asked over the phone. "Jack is not in the spare bedroom. His clothes aren't even in the closet." "Wait," I said, running through the house. "Damn it. His truck was gone, as were all his tools." That little wiggle in the back of my head was starting to take shape. "Oh no," I gasped. "What? What's it?" Mary asked. "Jack's moved out. Now I understand what he was talking about. He never said he would move his stuff to the spare room. He only said he would move his stuff out of my room. Then he said that he would move in before my return. I thought he meant he'd move out of my room, but he meant he'd move out of the whole fucking house. Heck, I need to call him and find out where he's gone." No, this is wrong. This sends him a signal of weakness. You have to stay strong. Don't mess with him. Let him get in touch with you. Trust me. He's just having a little tantrum right now. He'll come crawling to you in a couple of days. This is actually a very good thing. Now you have a reason to punish him and make him beg to do something for you to let him come back. This speeds up the process. I bet you can even let Josh or Larry get you pregnant and force Jack to raise the baby. Are you sure? Of course. Look at what my husband does for me. Well, I have to admit that you've been right so far. Of course. Oh, and Larry wants to meet you in the pantry at work for an hour on Monday. Are we really going to get away with this? Of course. At least half of the girls do it. It's so bad that I have to do everything on schedule. I'll email you the time of the meeting. Just record it as a meeting somewhere else. Don't worry about it. The boss never goes there, and anyone who needs something there knows to ask me before going to get something. We chatted a little more before hanging up. I admit, I was nervous about Jack moving in. Apart from what my actions might suggest, I really love him and want to spend the rest of my life with him. It's just that Mary made FLM sound so good, and it would allow me to try a variety of men. Of course, in the end, I will give up other men, but Jack will remain my faithful and obedient husband. Maybe in a few years I can make a deal with Jack to let me start tying him up if I stop making love to other guys. Obviously, it's not going to happen until I'm ready to give it up anyway, but he doesn't need to know that. Yeah, maybe I could use binding as a condition for his return. We need to think about it. Anyway, I needed to recuperate from last night, and tomorrow I'm going to have a long, hard day at work. I had to laugh. I cooked a simple dinner, drank a glass of wine, and went to bed. Friday morning. I haven't heard from Jack all week. Mary convinced me that this was not so unexpected. She was sure that I would hear from him soon. Besides, the longer he was away, the more conditions I could set for his return. I've been meeting Larry, Josh, and a couple of other good-looking guys in the pantry every day this week. I even had a double team planned for Larry and Josh this afternoon. It was Friday morning. Larry, Josh, Mary, and I were chatting around the coffee maker during our break when we noticed a rather attractive young woman approaching. She was dressed very professionally. Kayla Adams, Mary Morgan, Josh Johnson, and Larry Jones. "What is it?" she asked in a sweet southern voice. We introduced ourselves. Then she handed each of us an envelope and quickly photographed it with a small digital camera. "You've all been served," she said, turning and heading towards our boss's office. "What is it?" I called after her. "Honey, I'm jokingly paid to hand them over, not read them." She stretched over her shoulder. She entered the boss's office without knocking. She came out in less than a minute. "I wish you all a good day," she said cheerfully, leaving the building. We all opened our individual packages at the same time. A petition for divorce. Oh shit. Reading further, adultery was indicated as the reason. I froze in shock. Around this time, Josh and Larry's cell phones rang. "Oh shit!" they shouted. It would be too confusing to try to record two simultaneous conversations here. Instead, I'll summarize. They were their wives. A few minutes ago, they received all the evidence of their cases. All their belongings are about to be thrown out the door, and from now on, they will have to take turns sleeping. They should also have expected to be served with divorce papers at the earliest opportunity. "What the fuck?" Our boss bellowed from the back of the office. Suddenly, he appeared in the doorway. When he noticed the four of us, he shouted so loudly that the whole office could hear him, and the office was not small. "Adams, Morgan, Johnson, Jones, get your asses over here now!" I had a very bad feeling about it. Lowering our heads, we walked past him into the office. He slammed the door behind us. The bad things don't even begin to cover him. "Do any of you idiots want to explain this to me?" "What is it?" he asked, waving a manila envelope in front of us. None of us dared to speak. "Then let me enlighten you, idiots. Obviously, the company has been sued for not abiding by the moral code that we have in our employee handbook. Do you have any idea why anyone would want this? Once again, we couldn't bring ourselves to speak. Then I'll explain everything to you. We were sued because apparently Mrs. Adams can't seem to keep her legs closed. Mr. Jones and Mr. Johnson can't seem to keep their Johnsons in their pants, and Mrs. Jones Morgan decided to turn our pantry into a company brothel. Now, would any of you dumbasses be so kind as to assure me that any of these statements are invalid? Can any of you brainless idiots confirm to me that at least none of this shit happened during business hours and on company premises? Anyone? No? Are you serious? What the hell were you fucking idiots thinking? This fucking court order won't even let me fire you assholes until the case is settled. Now get the hell out of my office until I figure out what the hell to do with you four dummies. With our heads down, we left his office and headed for our room. After that, I hardly had a real job. At least I still have a job. I decided to review the divorce petition and see how bad it would be. It was bad. He had photos, videos, audio, and even a few notarized letters. An hour later, an email arrived from the boss throughout the company. To all employees, management drew attention to the fact that employees repeatedly planned and committed actions that directly contradict the moral code of conduct detailed in the employee manual in relation to working hours and company property. Since this has unfortunately been done by several employees, it is likely that this problem is more widespread than what is currently documented. Drastic measures will be taken. Unfortunately, management cannot be sure who and how many employees are responsible for these actions, so the following actions are being taken. All employees are required to familiarize themselves with the moral code in the employee handbook. This weekend, he will be working on an online class for this, where every employee will have to successfully complete this class. All employees should finish this by next Friday. Security will conduct spot checks of all hiding places throughout the day. This will happen several times a day until permanent security cameras are installed to monitor these places. From now on, the storeroom will be locked. The key will be at the head of the security service. Any necessary supplies must be delivered with the help of a security escort. He will closely monitor the use of computers to ensure that no personal use is made using the company's assets. Prohibited activities include, but are not limited to, scheduling non-work-related meetings with colleagues or others during working or non-working hours, use of personal email accounts on company computers, browsing non-work-related sites, text messages that are not related to work. Communication with colleagues should be strictly limited to the recreation room during scheduled breaks and lunch breaks. Security personnel will roam the building to keep an eye on it. In accordance with company policy, the names of those responsible for these actions will not be disclosed. I'm sure it won't be necessary anyway. 2 minutes later, my email exploded with hate mail from colleagues. I met the other 3 after work at the bar across the street. We sat down at a small table in the corner. There were several other colleagues at Friday's happy hour. Yes, their looks at us were not pleasant. At least we still have work to do, at least for a while. It was very nice of him. Why do you think Jack included this in the court order? I asked. Oh, please, Josh replied. It's pretty damn obvious. He wasn't trying to hurt you too much. He did it to hurt you even more. What do you mean? Alimony. Now it may not matter because he uses adultery as a reason, but it's just insurance against that. If you work well and have a decent income, there's no way in the world a judge will give you alimony. However, if you are fired and you cannot find another job, a sympathetic judge may be convinced that you will need financial help until you get back on your feet. So you're staying at work until the final divorce. Hooray for you. As soon as the divorce becomes final, all 4 of them suddenly jump on their asses in the parking lot after being fired. What happens then? No alimony and suddenly no work. Damn it. Then I'll just resign on Monday. Oh my God, you're really a natural blonde, aren't you? Larry asked. What do you mean? Dismissal is when you leave your job of your own free will. If you even try to ask for alimony after you voluntarily quit your job, the judge will have to ask why you left a well-paid job immediately after filing for divorce. Good luck convincing the judge that this wasn't done to get your ex to support you. All the judge will see when he looks at you is a gold-digging cheater. No, your best option is to stick to work as long as possible and save every penny you can. It's going to be even worse for Josh and me. You can bet that our wives will receive alimony, as well as child support since we both have children. What do you think will happen when we are suddenly fired and we cannot find another job where they pay almost the same? Keep in mind that alimony and child support are based on income at the time of divorce. Damn it. That Fell-Em thing didn't sound nearly as good right now. I realized that I needed to talk to Jack and try to sort things out. Of course, I wanted to help my friends, but I just couldn't lose my husband. What the hell was I thinking? To hell with my friends. If I need to throw them under the bus to save my marriage, let the throwing begin. I quickly pulled out my phone. I'm sorry, but the number you dialed does not accept calls from this number. Heck! Mary, give me your phone. Why? Because Jack blocked my number. I need to talk to him and fix this damn storm. She handed me her phone, and my 3 companions looked at me doubtfully. I'm sorry, but the number you dialed does not accept calls from this number. Heck! He blocked yours too. Try Larry's or Josh's. Not a good idea. I'm trying to fix it. What do you think he will do if he finds out that the first call I make to him will be from the phone of one of my lovers? Yes, I know. You already think I'm stupid. At the moment, I can't even refute it. I was in a panic. How do I find a husband who doesn't really want to be found on a Friday night? It is useless to spend the night at his work since it is also closed, and he does not work on weekends. Since my mobile phone, like Mary's, is blocked, I'm pretty sure that he also blocked our home and my work phones. I decided that talking on the phone wouldn't work anyway. I needed to do it face to face. I needed to find out where he was and ambush him. To hell with all this crap about women's marriage. Right now, I would gladly obey him completely, just to get my husband back. God, how things have changed. Just this morning, I was thinking about how I would make him beg and humiliate himself so that he would come home. Do you have any idea who's going to beg and grovel now? I picked up my phone and started going through my contacts. Of course, at least one of his friends knows where I can find him. Spoiler alert, none of our mutual friends knew anything. Well, that wasn't quite true. None of the former mutual friends who remained friends with me knew anything. The numerous mutual friends who now hated me knew enough. Unfortunately, although they had no reservations about letting me know that they knew exactly where I could find him, they also pointedly refused to disclose this information to me. I was greeted with laughter when I asked if they would be so kind as to give him a message from me. I've just dejectedly finished my last call and my fourth drink. That's when Josh showed his intelligence. Yes, it was said sarcastically. Maybe it was just my mood at the time, or it could just be the result of differences between how a woman thinks and how a man thinks. Perhaps some of you will actually think that what Josh suggested was really brilliant. I do not think so. Well, Josh began, since our lives are in total shit anyway, why don't we go to Kayla's and spend the whole night with the four of us? We've already made love, so we can take advantage of this and make love all night long. He thought it was sound logic. Maybe for him, but I just got a big dose of common sense. Of course, if there is nothing left to lose, then perhaps there will be something to think about. Personally, I think Jack and I still have a tiny chance. This slim chance will evaporate faster than a drop of water on the surface of the sun if I take everyone inside and have a night orgy with them. I politely declined and offered Mary to take them home. I had a husband I was trying to get back. I tried everything I could think of to find Jack over the weekend. I spent hours driving around motel parking lots looking for his truck. I drove past all his friends' houses at different times to see if his truck was there. I even tried to follow his best friend when I saw him leaving the house, hoping he would go to where Jack was. It was all in vain. On Monday morning, I set up camp across the street from his work. I saw everyone coming that morning, but Jack never showed up. I waited another hour. Still nothing. Even though I was already late for work, I didn't care. They weren't going to fire me right now anyway, and I'm going to be fired anyway after the settlement. But it didn't matter. I got out of the car and headed to the office. I saw that the door to Jack's office was closed, and I asked the secretary if Jack was here. She told me that he was gone for 2 weeks. Shit. The boss glared at me when I came in 2 hours late. I didn't care. All the phones that I could use are blocked. His friends refuse to help. I can't even give him a message at work. I have no idea where he is, so I can't show up on his doorstep. Mail is not an option because I have no idea where to send it. What are my options? Email. He always checks his email. I just have to hope that he's not blocking my emails. There's nothing wrong with trying. Jack, I don't have an excuse, so I won't waste our time trying to give it to you. I will only say that I somehow contracted the disease of fools. I don't blame Mary for this because I made the decision myself, but it just seemed so wonderful to hear her talk about women's marriage. I have no idea what made me think there was even the slightest chance that you would accept it anyway. Yes, I should have known better. I'm really sorry that you had to metaphorically hit me on the head to wake me up. Now I'm awake. I need you to know that I am deeply embarrassed and regret my actions. I understand that you won't accept it anyway. Jack, despite my recent actions, I really love you with all my being. Don't think for a second that you did anything wrong. It's just that I was an incredible idiot and selfish. Jack, my love, even though I don't deserve this, I beg you to forgive me. I need you to let me come back, and I'm willing to give you everything to make it happen. I saw how stupid it was for me to try to create FLM, but I would be thrilled if I became a part of MLF. Yes, Jack, I'm giving you my soul, and you're just giving orders. I will literally do anything you want to get back to where I belong. With you. Yes, I know the definition of the word anything. Please, Jack, I'm offering you everything. You know I've never had the slightest interest in women, and yet I'll eat your cream pie from another woman for you. I will serve you and any of your friends at the Super Bowl party wearing only a garter belt, stockings, and high heels if it brings me back to you. Do you want to fuck me in the ass? Just tell me to lean over the nearest chair, no matter who else is watching. Will it help me to whip my ass with a leather belt? Just tell me when and where. I'll even get you a belt. Since you have absolutely no reason to trust me, I will gladly put on a chastity belt and give you the keys. Since this was already a condition of my return to you, I have already had my blood tested for STDs. The results should be back in a couple of days. Just tell me where to send the results and I'll get them to you. Jack, I know that no matter what happens, you're the best person I've ever known. I know that you will never be able to bring yourself to harm me, although maybe I deserve it. I'm not asking you to forget or at least trust me again. All I ask is the opportunity to be yours in whatever capacity you wish. I'm not asking for anything but to come back to you, forever. Even if it means I have to agree to a divorce or watch you make love to other women. I pray that this does not happen, but I understand that this is not my decision. I'm the one who's to blame, and I admit that you might want to even the score. Goose, all this shit. As for Mary, Larry, Josh, and the lawsuit against my company, Mary manipulated me into agreeing to this plan. Josh and Larry took advantage of this. As you know, I will be fired as soon as the lawsuit against the company is settled. We are all to blame. Do whatever you want with them. I'll even help if you want. After all, I'm your willing slave from now on. Your loving slave, Kayla. The epilogue. Fortunately, Jack hasn't blocked my email yet. Even more surprising is that he actually read it. No, he didn't believe my words. After all, I've already broken the biggest vow I've ever made. You know, about leaving everyone else behind. Since I broke that promise, what could make him think that I wouldn't break any other promises? All I could do was prove it to him one action at a time. It's been 2 years since I sent this letter. Josh and Larry were pretty well raped in their divorces. All 4 of us were fired the day after the lawsuit against the company was settled. Josh and Larry eventually managed to find another job with much lower pay. They had to move into a small 2-room apartment in one of the worst areas of the city. Since no decent woman wants to have anything to do with a guy who can barely afford to pay the rent, their social life has become mostly non-existent. Their ex-wives used this opportunity to turn their children against them. I understand that both women are in a much better relationship now. Me? This is my repentance. Did I put all this in the letter? Yes, Jack wanted to test me and see if I would honor those words or not. If I want him back, I really don't have much choice. It was a pretty tough 6 months, but in the end, he backed off a bit. He still makes me do it sometimes, like now. But things are better now. Now he brings other women home only once every 2 months. After I was fired, I stopped working. Jack has been promoted and earns enough for us to do just fine without my income. I almost always stay at home and take care of the children and the house. We have 2-year-old twins. I'm naked most of the time, although Jack recently said that I'll need to start wearing clothes at home soon. The children are getting old enough, and otherwise it will be weird. But now I only wear clothes when I leave the house or when we have guests. Mary? Well, she's still married. Of course, she was fired too, but no one really expected her to actually suffer any serious consequences. Her husband was completely under her thumb. She'll just find another job and life will go on for her. Well, life is not always fair. Yes, of course. It turns out that Harold wasn't the submissive loser everyone thought he was. As soon as he got all the evidence, he got angry. I thought I had a difficult 6 months, but it was a picnic compared to hers. Then, deciding that he had punished her enough, he handed her the divorce papers. While he was putting Mary through hell, he quietly liquidated all their assets and ensured their safety. He gave her the house after he refinanced and took all the capital and then disappeared. She lost her house and all the money was gone. She found another job, but only on half the salary she used to receive. She has a reputation too. But she's not dating now. She has another month of antibiotics ahead of her. You're probably wondering why I put up with this, or laughing at how I got what I deserved. If you're angry that Jack didn't leave me out in the cold, I thank God every day that he didn't, even though I deserved it. I put up with it because I just can't imagine not having the love of my life with me. Sure, Jack whips and humiliates me, but he still loves me. He uses other women, but never without me. I can leave whenever I want, and Jack showed me the papers where he would be absolutely fair in the divorce. I refused the offer. He is a wonderful father, lover, and husband. I don't need anything else. I got so carried away with the idea of a woman's marriage that I lost sight of what was really important. Instead of being happy in an equal relationship, I have now become submissive to my husband. It shouldn't have happened, but I'm happy.